Indian Mojo Show!
Welcome, Next Gen Gamers, to an exciting and revealing episode 60 of the Jacked Up Indian Mojo Show. This week, we're glad to have our favorite robot in our corner as GIOer and podcast legend Born4this joins myself, Jack, and Daniel as we discuss tonight's Sony press conference where the PS4 and World Domination were announced. So much to discuss, so let's get right to it. But first, welcome back to the show, Dean. This is what, your third or fourth time joining us?
Yeah, I'm starting to lose count, man. I think I'm like a regular now.
Yeah, you're, you'll have your own director's chair, I think, within 2 or 3 more appearances.
I'm like the guy that fills in for like the late night talk show host when he like has heart surgery.
Yeah, you're like Jay Leno to Johnny Carson. Or something like that.
Yep. I'm coming after you, Jeremy. I'm going to have your job soon.
Maybe I'll be having heart surgery if I don't stop eating non-fat-free ranch dressing. I might be dead before I know it.
Or maybe you'll have a gun accident.
Oh, funny stuff.
We can only hope, Dean.
Ouch! Ouch! That hurt. Oh, there.
Did you shoot yourself?
Firearm. Thank you. No, I haven't shot myself. I've only had one negligent or accidental discharge in my entire life regarding a firearm. So that's not too bad. And nobody got hurt. And it was at the shooting range downrange, so it's not like it was in my garage or anything.
I don't know if I could admit to shooting myself, but that's a subject for another time.
I don't know that you could hide it. Well, I suppose you could if nobody knew you.
On a podcast? Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this isn't a gun show. This is a gaming show.
Yeah, let's not get this blown out of proportion.
And then you bring it up. And my goodness. All right. So before we get started on the press conference, Jack, how's your week been? How have you been playing any video games? You're dating some dude named Eric that you met outside of the bar on Valentine's Day. So what's going on there?
All right.
No, I'm not dating anybody. Don't worry, ladies. I'm single. And I've been playing Fire Emblem Awakening pretty much nonstop.
Like every awakening minute.
Oh, that was bad. That hurt.
Nailed it.
So have you played anything besides Fire Emblem, Jack? You've been playing some Dark Souls, obviously.
Yep, a good chunk of Dark Souls. I will confess that in a moment of supreme agony, I asked Jeremy for a little bit of guidance in Dark Souls, because
I'm the master.
You'll find out if you watch Digi Brothers, but episode 13 is not a lucky number for us. Let's just say that.
Oh. I didn't give you that much advice, and you stopped yourself before I got overboard, so good job.
Yeah, it was just... Let's just say we went a lot farther than we should have gone, and we couldn't find a place to save, and we died horribly.
That's one of those games where the more you learn, or the more you know after the fact, the more irritating it is, because you're just like, oh, man, if only I had known, I could have saved 7 billion souls in at least a few hours. So, Daniel, you're still a player of video games, from what I understand?
I am.
And
I've been playing a lot this week. I got Dead Space 3. I traded in the crap that was Aliens Colonial Marines.
Okay.
And, I played that, and that was terrible. And
really? Because you seemed kind of like you were defending it last time.
Yeah, something. Are you like a politician and waffling?
Well, after I played more of it, like that first hour, you're kind of like, oh, this isn't too bad. And then after that, you're just like, okay, shoot me. Because there were just so many moments in that game that I just wanted to be done with it.
Even the most hippest of hipsters couldn't defend it after the first hour, is what he's saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So finished that, reviewed it, didn't like it. And I got Dead Space 3, which I haven't even gotten to Tau Volantis yet, so I'm still...
When I ask, he doesn't want to play co-op.
Yep, no, I don't. Not yet, at least. Not my first playthrough.
I didn't ask him, and he just came flat out and said, no problem. I wasn't even going to ask. What a jerk.
Well,
How could you?
yeah. I don't
beast.
like... I'm a loner. Whatever. What can I say? So, yeah, that game's pretty fun. It's still kind of scary. It's very atmospheric. And then I finished Assassin's Creed 3. Finally.
Wow, look at you finishing games.
Like
I know.
the story mode, or did you 100% it? I hear that's really difficult.
Stop it. I don't do that, Jack.
Yeah, this is the guy-
He sounds so bitter about it. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly.
thinking, man, if it's that difficult, I want to do it.
No. I finished the story. And, man, let me tell you, the ending, that sure was a letdown. But,
I do want to finish it.
I'm not gonna ruin it, I'm just saying.
It ruined itself, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Connor's story was really good, but Desmond's story, I don't care about Desmond at all.
Yeah, it's going to be those games.
Watch,
I am grumpy.
they're gonna come out with the Assassin's Creed that stars Desmond. It's gonna be like a super sci-fi,
Right?
Assassin's Creed game, and everyone's gonna poop their pants. Just you wait. It's gonna happen.
So, Collector's Edition is going to come with, some Depends or sort of diapers, just in case.
Yep. Ultra heavy duty. For your duty.
Nice. I like that. For the Call of Duty. Okay, so Assassin's Creed, you're playing Dead Space. Did you finish Aliens, or did you just turn it in after a while?
No, I reviewed it, so I finished it, and I played multiplayer and everything.
And what was your final score on that?
5.5 out of 10. Because it's playable. It's you can have fun, and there were parts where I was having fun. But, man, there was plenty of times where I just wanted to shut it off and stop playing.
How much trading credit did you get?
I got at least $20, I think.
Well, that's not so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah, $20, I think.
So, any other games or otherwise interesting news that happened to you this week?
I got the Journey Collector's Edition also. But I didn't play that. I just watched the documentary.
Okay.
Yep. That's about it.
That's good.
Yep.
So, Dean,
Yeah.
how have you been? I mean, what have you been up to since we last talked to you on air?
Oh, that's kind of a broad question. There's lots of things.
As widely or narrowly as you like.
Let's see. Let's see if I can just narrow this down. Okay, so first of all, I'm a huge Super Nintendo nut. Super Nintendo is my favorite thing, and literally my favorite thing ever.
So not your daughter.
Well, come on now. I'm talking about stuff here. Now I'm being too broad. No, it's Super Nintendo's my favorite entertainment thing, I think.
Okay.
And I just love it. I grew up on it. And so Rob, as some of you know as Warbuff, he bought as he called it, a jaundiced Super Nintendo. He went looking for one. And he had this yellowed Super Nintendo.
House or something?
No. Jaundice is a skin thing where your
skin turns yellow. So how would a Super Nintendo turn yellow if it wasn't in a smoker's house?
It just does. There's science behind it, man. It's science.
Okay.
Look it up for real though. Google it.
It's a common occurrence.
Yes, it's the way they treated the plastic. It turns yellow. Not all of them do, but certain pieces do over time on some consoles.
So you could paint one of those like SpongeBob.
Yeah. So he bought one, and then he's like, yeah, so I kind of want to custom paint this thing, and I'm looking for some design ideas. And so, long story short, I gave him an idea, and then I got super pumped and wanted to custom paint my own. So I bought one. And then I had a friend, who, he's not really a close friend, but he's a guy I've known for a long time. And, he found out about my project, offered to help with it, and he is a professional painter. He paints cars and stuff at this car dealership. And so he, offered to do it. And so then my idea kind of transformed into something I'm even more excited about. That's a detail I forgot to share. And so I've just been really, really pumped about that. And it would be done by now, but he's working with a graphics company that's trying to make the stencil of the logo that I'm trying to use on there. And it's kind of taken a little bit of time. We had some technical hiccups that we ran into, so we got all that figured out. And so, yeah, I'm just...
So this is going to be like a straight-up professional job. It's not going to be you with some Sharpies and a ruler.
Yeah. I had gotten some instructions online about how to do it, but I'm more excited about it now that I've got a guy who he knows.
So, do you think your guy would be willing to take on the commission that I wanted for a Super Nintendo?
No, I wouldn't. I'm pretty sure I've seen a few pictures on his Facebook, and he's pretty nostalgic for Super Nintendo too. So, no, that's not going to happen.
So you don't think it would be cool to have a Super Nintendo that was painted to look like a Genesis? What would be wrong?
No, I do think it would be cool to have a Genesis that was painted like a Super Nintendo. And then we could put, with a Sharpie at the top, I'm a wannabe. That might be.
So when do you think yours will be done, Dean?
Hopefully, I keep telling people within the next few weeks. I mean, he's ready. Like, he said once I get that graphic, or that stencil, he's like, I can get it done within a week's time. 'Cause my design is actually pretty simple. Like, in theory for, him, it's a pretty easy job. Yeah, I have a blog about it, that people can check out the first part of it. But basically, I decided to combine two of my favorite things from the 90s, which is Super Nintendo and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, but I'm going with as nostalgic as I am for the old school Turtles logo, I'm using the one from the comics, because it just kind of, like, the simplicity of it goes better with my design and stuff. So, and plus the comics kind of reignited my love for Turtles, and so adult Dean, the comics are new to me, and so I'm just really liking those a lot. So,
awesome.
Anyways, I'm pumped for that.
Beyond customizing diseased Super Nintendos.
No, mine's not diseased.
I know yours has a clear health. I'm just kidding. Have you been playing any games?
Yes, I have.
What have you been playing?
I have been playing a lot of games. I've been playing the heck out of Borderlands 2. Like, I don't know why, but actually I do know why. I wrote a blog about that too, but still, even with seeing all those explanations, I'm just like, I am really surprised I put so much time into this game. But yeah, I've played. I think I'm nearing 200 hours on that game. Like, I got my single player character up to level 50, my commando, and then I'm playing co-op with my friends, and we play every Friday, and we've been playing every Friday. I mean, we missed a Friday this last week, so we've missed a few, but we've pretty much played every Friday since it came out. We're almost done with the first DLC, and then we're going to move on to the second one. And I'm playing as Zero there. Let's see, what else have I been playing?
So that's interesting. You actually play co-op with your friends then, right?
Yes, we play over Xbox Live, but yeah, we play every Friday, and we're trying to do every side mission.
Because that's what friends do, is play co-op together.
Yes, we are the model for how real friends and not the Indian Mojo show.
I have friends I play co-op with too, just not my friends that I text with and
Look, I don't have friends, okay? I don't have friends.
Clearly.
Wah, wah.
Daniel, you're just afraid to be loved, is all. I understand.
I'm afraid to lose people.
Yes. You've been hurt too many times.
Exactly.
Oh, I will run into one more thing. I'm personally happy to see that I get to play Rayman Legends, because Rayman is awesome.
Yeah.
You mean you didn't go buy 7 Wii U's at launch, so you couldn't have played it?
You know, I think, to be honest, I think I would have been a little upset if I would have given in to buying a Wii U and then I found out that was going to be on
That
Xbox.
was the only reason you would have bought it, yeah.
And then I'd have to wait another 7 months.
Yeah, that's kind of a low blow, man, seriously.
Yeah.
That part doesn't bother me as much. I think I would just, I think I would be more upset about buying that, thinking, well, I can't play it anywhere else, and then they're like, never mind, it's cross-platform now.
We were just joshing, y'all. Nobody really minds, right?
Yeah. So anyways, I'll digress. There's probably more, but that's all I can think of right now, so.
So real quick before we start our Sony,
Wait, Jeremy, we didn't talk about what you're playing.
that's what I was getting. So real quick before we start our Sony PS4 discussion,
Wait, Jeremy,
the games I had played
talk
this
about
week,
what you were playing.
I forget. I played Cooney, which that game is still amazing, but it keeps putting me asleep. So I don't know if that says something about me or something about the game.
Yeah, I totally will not like that game.
It I can play it for maybe a couple of hours, but after that, whether I'm tired or not, and no matter what time of day it is, I seriously will fall asleep in the chair. I wake up and I'm drooling and my neck hurts, and I'm like, oh yeah, save somebody, do something.
Oh yeah, gotta feed chocolate to that monkey.
Exactly. Exactly. And
This person's missing a heart.
right now I have 3 familiars. Their names are Hershey, named after my dog, Sweet,
And my cat.
named after my cat, and Link because he looks like a little fairy with a green outfit. Fairy as in
Yes, we understood what you meant.
Thank you. But I hope to get more, and I can name them more awesome names like Jack and Daniel. And they'll be my powerful allies in the field.
Zoo.
But it really is an amazing game. It's an RPG, so JRPG, so you want to be able to play it for, at least 3 or 4 hours at a stretch, but I just can't do that, so I got to limit myself to a couple of hours. I played Dead Space. I played a little bit. I started the single player. I played a little bit of I played the demo co-op with Kyle. It was pretty fun. I think it was still somewhat scary. The atmosphere definitely is there. What else? Played some Borderlands with Kyle. Seems like I played some other demos, but I forget which ones they are. Dean, you'd asked on Twitter a while back about PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Being a good value. I hate answering those questions on Twitter just because I can't even tell you hello without using more than 140 characters, but I think that
hello only has 5 letters.
Somebody like you that really likes this type of downloadable games and sees value in them, I think that you would like PlayStation Plus quite a bit. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm intrigued by. I found out that if I were to get 3 months of it, I would have access to those games for those 3 months, and then after those 3 months I wouldn't until I renewed. But still, in those 3 months, there was a lot of stuff there I could play, stuff that it's stuff that I'm, I was kind of interested in it, but it's there's so many, it's games that at the time it was there's so many games, I just am not going to play that. Infamous 2, I'm I probably enjoyed that as for the gameplay, but I'm not going to buy that. I've got way too many other games to buy. So then I see it for free, and I'm just for paying for PS Plus. But I'm just But then the thing that holds me back is I just have way too much stuff to play right now, and plus I'm busy, so it's do I really want to fill my schedule with more stuff that I was kind of on the fence to begin with, so I'm thinking I might get it during the summer and hope for the best that there'll be some stuff there that I'm interested in.
Right now, they have I think it goes through the middle of March, maybe, beginning.
Okay.
If you buy the year one for $50, you actually get 3 free months. So,
Nice.
but I agree, if to try it out, you should just try like a 3-month trial. But,
Yeah.
What you say is true. If you stop your subscription, you can't play those games during that time, but as soon as you renew it, you can play and all your saves and whatnot will be there. However, there's some times where they have sales for like, if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber and a game normally costs $15, you can get it for like $4 or $5. If you have to pay any amount of money for the game, you'll always get to keep it regardless of whether or not you're a Plus member. So
That's cool.
yeah. But I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that because there's plenty of other PlayStation news to talk about, fellas.
Nice.
That was a smooth transition, Jeremy. Big props.
We all, the conference, or saw enough of it to kind of get the gist of it.
Yep.
Initial overall impressions in less than 10 words. Jack?
I thought that's how a console reveal should go. Perfect.
I think that was 10. Yeah, good job.
Daniel?
That's one. I want to see more of the games, but the tech is promising.
Okay. Dean?
Vita, dumb name. PS4, good job.
Jeremy?
Jeremy? Overall, impressed, disappointed, no pricing, few games.
Nice.
Uh,
I went over 10 words, so...
Idea was just to keep it concise because we'll talk about all these things in depth as we move. So, anybody surprised, or did anybody think they did a terrible job with the press conference, that they could have done a lot better?
No.
No.
I think they did better than the Wii U.
I kind of like
Jack. I love Jack's Twitter comment about how that's how you reveal a console, and I'm like, yeah, that's a very good point. I literally sorry to like go off on a tangent, but I literally had someone I know ask me. They're like they actually played the thing, and then they're like, and I'm not making fun of this guy, like he didn't know, but he was like asking questions about, he's like, talking about the Wii, and long story short, he was like, he was saying some things that just didn't make any sense to me, and so finally I figured out from asking a few questions that he thought that the Wii U was just the new gamepad, and that you could buy it for the Wii. And I was like, no, man. I was like, it's a brand new console. I was like, you weren't there. You came late, but I said, before you came, I said Jared was playing Assassin's Creed 3 on that. And I was like, and it was in HD. And he's like, oh, wow. And the only game he saw was that Nintendo Land. So I can understand where you wouldn't necessarily process that was, that you're looking at. I mean, it did look better to me, but just kind of casually, not really knowing what you're looking at, I could understand where he was like, oh, okay.
Nintendo did a terrible job of marketing it. I think they had at least 10 hours worth of major press conferences devoted to the Wii U. And we didn't even see even a glimpse of the console until shortly before release. And didn't really ever share any information. So in that regard, I think if you compare it to the Wii U, which is a terrible comparison because it's not even a contest, I think Sony did a great job.
Now, they did make the same mistake in that they didn't show the console, but they at least, called it PS4, and there's that distinction of like...
They talked about the hardware specs, at least.
Yeah.
I think the reason they didn't show the console, and I really believe this, is they just don't really know exactly how it's going to be housed yet to save the most amount of money.
And I don't know that it was necessarily a mistake that they didn't show the console. It's just that they have plenty of time from between now and the holiday season when they're probably going to release the console to show us what it is. And I'm guessing we'll probably see it at E3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta save something, right?
You would think so.
True.
The amount of content that they and info that they did share, did that seem like more than you expected, about what you expected, or less than you expected?
In some ways more, and in some ways less.
Okay. Did you want to answer that, Daniel?
Oh, it was a bit less, because I expected to see the stuff about like the share button and the new controller and you know, being able to project it on walls and stuff like that. But like I said, I just want to see a little bit more from the games, and they did show some games, which was cool. But like I wanted to see more of the next gen tech, and the only thing that really made me feel like I was seeing something next gen was the Killzone demo.
So you really expected the share button, or were you just saying something?
No, I really expected that because I had read articles about it.
Oh, okay.
They did talk about that feature a little bit. I mean, as far as I know,
Yeah.
it's not what you know, you can record gameplay and then share it with your friends or you know, that sort of stuff. I think that's a pretty cool feature.
No, I think that's great.
That was pretty new to me, so I did not expect that at all. But yeah.
I was happy that there wasn't a lot of focus on the social aspects of it. I mean, I think it's important that they touched on it and that it will be integrated so you can share to Facebook or they noticed that they kind of didn't mention Twitter at all, but like Facebook and Ustream. But I'm glad that it wasn't all about that. And it had a lot of the features that, like, you know, that the Wii U bragged about, where you could get help from your friends and you could communicate with them. But it was more of a side note. It wasn't like the main feature, which I guess goes to show I think that the games will be impressive.
I'm totally going to have you finish all my games for me.
$20 an hour. 5 of it goes to my pimp, so just think of it as 15 plus a finder's fee. Yeah, you know, I don't know what to think about that. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to earn trophies for other people. I think that's kind of, I'd like to know more about that before I make a final judgment on it. But I think it's a neat idea.
Yeah, I think it's a neat idea. I don't know, like you said, I think it's just something extra for people who want to use that feature. And it's not like a major focus of the console. It's just there if you want it. And I have no problems with that being there.
No, I think it's great.
So, Jack, did you think the amount of games they showed was disappointing?
No, I was actually very impressed. I didn't think that they were going to show many games at all. And they ended up showing, like, 6, 7 games? And they were all interesting games to me. I mean, pretty much the only game that I didn't get super excited about was the Square Enix's announcement of a new Final Fantasy, because they showed the exact same real-time demo that they showed before. But
what about the car game?
And the car game, I'm not super into car games, but
Yeah.
I mean, just from what they were showing and clearly the amount of attention and detail that they already have put into that game made it impressive to me.
Now, was that from the makers of Gran Turismo, or is that someone else?
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Somebody else. I don't know. Like, that was when I was driving to church, so I didn't really get to watch it. Those were the only announcements I really missed, was the driver game and the Second Sons.
But I was thoroughly impressed. I loved the fact that they have the streaming capabilities and recording your gameplay and uploading it online, because that's a thing that's just getting bigger and bigger as time is going on.
Yeah.
So one of our predictions, or I don't know officially out of us who made it first, but I think we all kind of agreed on it, what about games being able to be, you know, streamed and tried before you buy them. We all kind of thought it would be a rental, but it sounds like it'll be more like a free demo. I still think that maybe they will rent games in the future. But that certainly sounds like it's going to happen with David Perry and the guy from Gaikai kind of mentioned that. And it sounded like he said it's going to be pretty much every game where that'll be, you know, available. I think that's a pretty awesome feature.
Yeah, that's great.
I was really intrigued by his statement about how, like, their goal is to have the entire back catalog of PlayStation products available cross-system, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Just instantaneously being able to play without having to wait for something to download.
Mm-hmm.
That would be incredible.
I have a thought on that.
What's that?
Rob told me about the game library thing with the cloud, because I didn't catch that part, and so he was telling me about his excitement for that. And it really ties in with something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I mean, not to sound pretentious or anything, but like, basically, I've been thinking a lot lately about how can we help games to be perceived as art, and I think one thing that would really help that is when you look at like movies and stuff, it's easy to get access to a movie. You know, if a company puts it on a DVD, then you can watch it. And so, but with games, there's always that difficulty of they can be hard to come by because, you know, the consoles can be, you don't know what consoles it on, or,
It's not
you know,
as accessible.
Yeah, it's not nearly as accessible. You gotta have the right console, and you gotta have the copy of it, and that can be expensive.
$60 tie-in as opposed to a $20 for a DVD.
Yeah, and the games, the old games can vary so much in price because of their rarity, and because it's the original game, and depending on how many copies were made. Kind of like, you know, I can go to a game store and I can get, you know, WrestleMania on Super Nintendo for like $5, but then if I want Chrono Trigger, it's $75. It's like, well, good grief. I'm more excited to try Chrono Trigger, but I mean, I guess I'll buy WrestleMania. I mean, I want to play WrestleMania, but, you know, but anyways, so I think that that's awesome because that accessibility of those games, it just, I really think that helps the medium. I think it's good for the medium to have, and you know, the Virtual Console had that in its own way, but you know, for Sony to have, you know, everything from PS1 up, you know, in a digital library, I think that's a pretty, not something I necessarily expected, but that's something that I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We need that.
So there were a few things, and we'll get back to the positives here in a moment, I hope, but there were a few things that, I guess they're not negatives, but there are a few rumors that weren't addressed, or put to rest at least. One of those being the always online capability. Do you think that they didn't talk about that? Because, you know, do you think that the fact that they didn't talk about that bodes one way or the other? Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's good that they didn't talk about it. It sounds like it probably will be always, I don't know. I don't know if it will always be online, but it sounds like it will certainly discourage used games, but we don't know. But at least, no matter what, like, even if it doesn't allow used games, it sounds like they're really giving, like we talked about last week, they really need to give options, and they need to give people ways to, like, convenient ways to play games so that, you know, it's cheaper and more convenient for them to just try it before they buy it, and I think that this is a good step in that direction, so I don't think it's really a negative. But no, they didn't talk about those, but so we don't know yet, really.
Dean, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna guess that it was, I look at it as a PR move. I think that they probably, you know, companies are smart, they're gonna pay attention somewhat to what people are saying on the internet, and obviously, you know, it seems to be a pretty popular concern right now about this, you know, always online stuff, and I mean, even PC really ran into that issue, like, you know, Diablo, the Blizzard really got burned pretty hard on their launch of that, you know, they had some issues with that, and, you know, so I think it's one of those things that's, I look at it and say that's a talking point that they ignored for the conference, you know, because I mean, it's like, what kind of, that's not going to generate excitement. That's just going to, you know, have people.
But you think the fact that they didn't talk about it doesn't necessarily mean that that's
no,
the policy?
I don't necessarily. I just think it just got.
They wanted to have all positives and things.
Yeah, I think it was purposely. What's the word?
They just had selective information that they were sharing.
Yeah,
They wanted to build momentum.
It was purposely not mentioned, in my opinion.
It's not like they forgot it. Jack, any thoughts on that?
I think that they probably didn't mention it because it's not. I don't think that it would. I don't think that it's a requirement. I think that they probably have it where their online service is a huge incentive to have your console online and connected to the internet all the time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hear anything in what they said that seemed to indicate that it needs to always be online.
Right.
I would agree.
I would assume that if it's not online, since it seems like a lot of their services with Gaikai indicate cloud streaming. If your console isn't online, then you can't stream those games. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that would stop you from playing a hard disk copy of a game.
Yeah, I think that definitely the PS4 experience offline is going to be far different than the PS4 experience online. And I think that, ultimately that'll be up to the end user, the buyer, if they can't go online with it, if they decide to invest in that machine. And hopefully they know that they're getting really a portion of the experience. I think that, and I kind of touched on this last week or the week before, I think what will happen is it'll somewhat be up to the developers and the publishers. So I think that we may see, like the Blizzard game, Diablo 3, we may see always online requirement for that game, just like on PCs. But I don't think it's going to be like a Sony policy, and I really don't think Microsoft will do it either, where
I can see
it
that.
has to always be online and it has to be, because it's kind of the same thing. I guess the next thing would be the used game deal, but obviously the only way to combat used games is if you're always online, and I don't think either one of those are going to be have-to-haves or guaranteed to happen with the PS4. So I would agree the fact that they didn't specifically bring it up and squash that rumor doesn't necessarily mean that it's a true rumor. Another thing that I think that I would have liked to have seen them touch on, they did talk about, communicating and socializing with your friends, but obviously one of the bigger downfalls to the PS3 as compared to the 360 is the ability to easily chat with your friends. I would have liked to have seen them at least mention that, with this new technology and this new process, that you'll be able to, voice chat with your friends and do that. So I know that they made it look like that, but I just would have liked to have heard that confirmed. That's just my personal thought on that.
Okay, and I'm just going to say it. I wanted to see The Last Guardian.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
I really want to see it.
I was disappointed by that, but I don't think I can hold that against the conference or the launch or the announcement of this console,
No.
This might sound too obvious, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was really thinking, why would you not launch the PS4 with a new Uncharted? I mean, I just really thought that would have been a good opportunity, in my opinion. But
I think, Naughty Dog does have teams. It's possible that they could. I think that there's a lot that shared. This was a 2-hour press conference, so it wasn't Sony's usual first 45 minutes of being, fluffy sales numbers. I mean, this was all pretty much content. And with the exception of the short little, media molecule PlayStation Move thing, I think it was all content that was pretty much geared towards core gamers, for PlayStation and even Xbox type gamers. So I think that they shared a lot. I mean, I don't think they shared too much, but I think that they shared a lot, and I think that there's still more to come. You still have GDC coming up, you have E3 coming up, you have Tokyo Game Show coming up, which is a big one for Sony. So I think that there's a lot more out there.
Well, I think one of the most significant parts of the entire conference was actually when they went up and said pretty much that they have all the third-party developers on board their console.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in light of their only announced competition so far, the Wii U, is struggling so much in that department. I almost felt like it was a big middle finger to the Wii U saying, come on.
And almost not only from Sony, but also from the developers and the publishers.
Yeah. I would just say the only reason I brought that up is because of all of Sony's, like, I'm not trying to it's like comparing apples and oranges, but if you look at Nintendo, their most notable, the one that most people are going to be like, oh yeah, like the most appealing, it's Mario. So Zelda can wait, Metroid can wait. Unfortunately, they make Metroid wait way too long sometimes, but Mario can't wait. They always, get that out. And with, Metal Gear's not a Sony exclusive anymore. They've lost quite a few exclusives, and from my perspective, it seems like Uncharted kind of has the most universal appeal of any of their stuff, especially considering the fact that it's a teen-rated shooter, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a mature title. So, over Resistance and God of War and Killzone and everything else, it seems like Uncharted is kind of like that most, like,
it's the most like
broadest,
PlayStation right now.
So it just kind of seemed like I personally think if they would have announced a new Uncharted, I think there could have been, not that was like the missing ingredient or anything, I'm just saying, like, I think it would have been pretty significant. I could have seen my friends texting me and saying, oh dude, Uncharted, I might have to buy it at launch now.
I wonder if maybe Naughty Dog, I think that that's I think it's 50-50 that they actually are working on a new Uncharted for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They have been split into two development teams, so the other one's obviously working on something.
Yeah.
And I think maybe as a company, once The Last of Us releases, which is now, in June? Right around E3, so maybe once that releases, maybe that's when, the company overall, because even though there's two development teams, there's still just one company, one marketing team, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then they, at E3 or somewhere around then, they'll focus on, because there's not going to be a lot to share at E3. I mean, obviously they could do pricing and they could actually reveal the system. I think they wanted to say something. And it would be awesome at E3 to see them come out with Uncharted, or honestly, I would be happy with a brand new IP from Naughty Dog, but it'll probably be Uncharted. Not that I don't want Uncharted, but,
Right.
Uncharted, The Last Guardian. If they did, like, just those two games, and then revealed pricing in the final look of the console, they would, they could literally drop the mic and walk off the stage and call it a day. Especially if that price point is, below $400, which is pretty iffy at this point after seeing all the tech. But you never know.
Yeah.
So you guys weren't overly impressed with any of the other games they showed?
I thought the games they showed were actually, I guess, here was my expectation. Like, I wasn't expecting them to talk about hardware specifics, like the 8 gigabytes of DDR5 or whatever. I didn't really expect them, they didn't talk about the size of the hard drive. They didn't talk about the optical drive at all, which kind of has me a little bit curious. It's either just obvious given that it's going to be Blu-ray, or maybe, who knows.
Game Informer has a article up that says it's Blu-ray.
Okay. So, and I personally would like to see just one SKU. I know we've talked about this before, but I don't like having two different ones. I think it's just confusing. And even if it's just hardware, hard drive size, that does, in my opinion, impact developers a little bit, especially if you have to install the game. If you have to install the game, then, you might change your game from being a 10 gigabyte install to a 4 gigabyte install to meet the requirements of the people that bought the smaller hard drive systems. Because who knows if it'll be upgradable on PlayStation 4. But anyway, I didn't expect them to reveal everything they did, so to me, it was a lot more than I expected. So the games that they did talk about was just, an added bonus.
From my perspective, I wasn't necessarily... I went into watching that not really caring what games they showed per se, but what I was really hoping that they were going to try to sell me on was... There's definitely a question in my mind of... okay, like I've seen games like Uncharted 4 and Crisis 2 and Crisis 3, Just different games that just, Battlefield, look really, really, really good on what we have right now. Mm-hmm. And so I went into that going, okay, I really hope they show me something that can get me excited for, here's the potential. Because I think we're really reaching that point where, stuff can look, better than good, kind of thing. But, to have it just be something really significant, like I gotta have that over what you already have. I was really hoping that they would show off something that just really demonstrated, whatever. And so even though it wasn't quite as Rockstar as I would have liked it to be, I don't mean Rockstar the company, I just mean Rockstar in general. Of all people, they had to have David Cage come out there, and I'm not a huge Heavy Rain fan, so I was like, but as weird as it sounds, and I actually had a friend on Twitter who thought I was joking, but, I said, on Twitter, I said, yes, finally, they did what I wanted them to do, and he's like, what? So, he's like, old man heads aren't popular, or floating old man heads aren't popular anymore. I said, no, dude. I said, I was being serious. I said, because the one thing I was thinking, the very first game I saw them show off was Killzone. And I'm looking at this game, and, they at the very beginning, there's this guy that's like, all right, follow me, sir. And I'm like, follow me? How many times have we done that in an FPS game? And then he gets knocked over by the blast, and he gets up, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I did that so many times in Crysis 2. I love Crysis 2, but if I were to make fun of Crysis 2, it's like the number of times Prophet had to get up off the ground. And so, I'm just like, I just didn't care. Like, I was watching that Killzone thing, and I'm just like, yeah, it looks good, but you're not, and my immediate thought was, at that time, I was like, I need to see, facial animations. I need to see, how good can these people look, because that was one of the things that really wowed me about Uncharted, when PS3 came out. And so I'm like, I really want to see this. And so even though the floating old man head was kind of a weird way to do that, it was honestly probably for me, it was like that key moment where I was like, there we go. And then I think that they sold it well enough. Like when he said, we have access, to stuff that previously was only possible in CG movies, and now we have this ability to do this. I was like, there you go. Because, from what I saw of Heavy Rain, just relating it to David Cage presenting it, Heavy Rain, those people were kind of I don't know, they're just kind of creepy looking. They kind of were in that, what do people call that?
The Uncanny Valley.
The Uncanny Valley, yeah. They were just weird looking. And so, it was kind of weird to see this floating old man head, but if you just focused on just his face, it was pretty impressive.
You do know that Daniel modeled for that, right?
That's funny.
Yep.
I agree with what you're saying. Games like Killzone and any other game for that matter, I always have to wonder, how good can it possibly look being streamed over the internet and then being streamed to a computer where everybody has various specs on their computer? How good can it really look compared to what it would look like if you were standing there in the, press conference looking at it?
Right.
Because sometimes you'll hear people going wild at the press conference, and on my end, I'm like, that doesn't look that good, but you don't know how great the quality is
right.
over. So I think it's kind of hard to say how great the graphics and how powerful it is based on what was streamed. Right.
Now, if you stand really close to your HD TV, I will admit, I look at, I stand, sometimes in the heat of the moment, when I'm really on a tough part in a game, I'll stand up in my living room and I'm standing right in front of my flat screen. It's a 46-inch. And I have noticed many times that when I get really close to the Xbox on the big flat screen, you can see that it doesn't look as good as you think it does when you're that close to it. But, when you're at the proper sitting distance from an HD, 46-inch HD TV, like Crisis 2 looks amazing, and I think, Crisis 3, I haven't got to play it yet, but it looks amazing too. And so, I saw Killzone, and I'm just like, yeah, it looks good, but I mean, Crisis looks good, so who cares, So.
Well, I think the lesson to that, though, Dean, is that Xboxes have a purple circle, too, and you really shouldn't violate it.
They have a purple circle? What does that mean?
So I don't know what that means.
Nobody knows what a purple circle is? Come on. Oh.
Can I Google it?
Is that like a butt joke?
Purple circle is like your circle that nobody's supposed to invade. It's like your personal space.
It sounds like a butt joke.
It sounds like a speaker joke or something, and I was like, too far.
Wow, that joke required you guys to know what a purple circle was, and I really thought you would.
Nope.
I know what a circle. Here in Iowa, we call it a bubble. It's my bubble.
Same.
Huh. All right. Never mind.
Purple circle. How does that even
In
make
Montana,
sense?
we call it, within firing range.
Ew.
So, anyway, purple circle butt jokes aside.
Well, I think that the press conference was basically perfect for the games that they announced. Like, each game appeals to some core audience base.
Yeah.
And each one looked fantastic for, what it was supposed to be. Like, you had Killzone, Shadowfall for the hardcore FPS crowd. You had Drive Club for the people who like driving games. You had Infamous Second Son for people who want the superhero adventure. You got The Witness for indie street cred. You got...
Yeah, that was kind of a neat announcement, somewhat unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really, actually pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I was excited for that.
And then you also have Deep Down from Capcom, which looks like some fantastic combination of Dragon's Dogma, Skyrim, Dark Souls, and the Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings.
That looks awesome. I hope it actually ends up being, the combination of all those things. I think that would be fabulous.
Except
And I think
it had
what we
some
saw was
weird
in-game footage too. It looked like
Really?
It looked like it. I saw like a little HUD,
wow,
menu thing on the screen.
I didn't notice that.
And then we got the whole Agnes Philosophy real-time demo. I was not very excited about that, but it's like a new Square Enix game for another Sony console. Big surprise.
No,
And
go ahead.
and then I was just going to say, then we also had Diablo 3 for consoles, which was a pretty big confirmation of stuff that had already been speculated to be in the works. And then Watch Dogs, which
Yeah.
I was really happy and excited that we got to see another demo of it on stage.
Stole the show again, almost.
And it still looks awesome, and it's going to be there on launch.
Mhm.
Nice.
Um,
I was very excited about Blizzard. That was, especially when he said at PS3 as well. I was like, okay, so
yeah, he almost made it sound like the PS3 version may be coming out sooner rather than later, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've really been wanting Blizzard to come to consoles, so that I was excited for that. I was like, my body is ready. I want to play Diablo 3.
For a split second, I thought that they were going to announce a new IP just for consoles.
That would have been. I don't think our body could. Be
Yeah,
ready.
that's what I was thinking at first too, and I thought, no, it's got to be Diablo. It's just got
But
to
another,
And plus, it might have taken 10 years. So.
I thought I didn't really think of this until we started recording, but it's also kind of significant that Bungie's next game is going to be on the PS4 too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their first time really branching out since Halo.
Was that Destiny trailer or whatever they showed, was that more than what was shown the other day? Because I didn't get a chance to watch it the other day.
Not
Uh,
really.
I mean, when everybody was kind of making fun of it, they made fun of this big announcement, and then all it was something not that big, I guess. But, yeah, I think that says a lot that Bungie's going to be releasing on PS3. Or 4.
Alright. Thank you so much for joining us, Dean.
No problem,
It was a
man.
pleasure
I
having
like
you
coming
on.
on.
Yeah, well, you classed up the joint.
We needed it.
No, but yeah, thanks for having me on. I definitely, if I could just add a super quick note, I left some comments to someone today about PS4 predictions, and I typed like a bunch of comments on Facebook, and then I said, man, I wish I still had a podcast because I have so many thoughts right now. And then I remembered after that, oh yeah, I'm going to be on Indian Mojo.
So, there you go. You got to scratch that itch after all.
Definitely.
There you go.
All
Sweet.
right.
Alright, well, thank you so much again, and thanks for listening, all of you classy folks out there. And thanks to you fine gentlemen, Jack and Jeremy. I'm Indy Jones. You stay classy, all of you out there in Game Informer land.
And thank you for stopping by.
I love PlayStation 4.
I'm going
Who
to.
doesn't?